When your dog follows you from the living room to the kitchen, from the bedroom to the bathroom, even when you're only gone for 30 seconds, you probably think they're just being clingy. Maybe you've called them your shadow. Maybe you've even felt a little annoyed when you can't close the bathroom door without seeing a nose pushing through. But the truth is far more profound than that. And when you understand what science has actually discovered about this behavior, the way you look at your dog will change completely. Most owners have no idea what's really happening inside their dog's mind during those moments, which means they're missing something extraordinary happening right in front of them every single day. Let's start with what researchers actually found when they studied dogs who follow their owners everywhere. 1. Your dog isn't following you because they're bored or needy. They're doing something their ancestors spent 15,000 years perfecting. Dr. Clive Wynne, a canine behavior expert at Arizona State University, discovered something remarkable when he studied dogs separated from their owners by varying distances. Even when the dog could still see their owner, even when they were only a room away, the dog's cortisol levels remained elevated until they closed the physical distance. Here's what that means. Your dog isn't being clingy. Their brain is literally running a proximity protocol that has been hardwired across thousands of generations. In the wild, separation from the pack meant vulnerability. It meant danger. It often meant death. But here's where it gets interesting. When researchers tested the same response with dogs and other dogs, the response was inconsistent. Some dogs cared, some didn't. But when they tested it with dogs and their primary human, the response was universal and immediate. Your dog doesn't follow other dogs around the house. They don't track your spouse or your kids with the same intensity. They follow you because somewhere deep in their evolutionary wiring, you became the single most important presence in their survival map. Not as a pack member, as something more essential than that, as their entire anchor point in the world. 2. What scientists discovered next explains why your dog follows you to the bathroom. Researchers at the University of Portsmouth conducted a fascinating experiment. They brought dogs into an unfamiliar environment, a veterinary clinic, and observed what happened when their owners moved to different parts of the room. Here's what they found. When the owner sat still, most dogs would settle within 2 to 3 feet. Normal behavior. But the moment the owner stood up, even if they didn't move toward the door, even if they just shifted positions, the dog immediately closed the distance. The researchers called it positional shadowing, and it revealed something most owners never notice. Your dog isn't following you because they want something from you. They're following you because they're constantly recalibrating their sense of safety based on where you are in physical space. Think about that. When you get up to grab your phone from the other room, your dog doesn't think you're coming back with a treat. They don't assume you're going to do something exciting. Their brain is running a completely different calculation. It's asking, is my anchor point moving? Do I need to adjust my position to maintain security? And here's what makes it even more remarkable. The study found that dogs with stronger attachment bonds showed faster response times. The closer the bond, the shorter the delay between your movement and theirs. Your dog isn't being annoying when they follow you to the bathroom. They're demonstrating the depth of their attachment to you in the only way their biology knows how. And if this is changing the way you see your dog's behavior right now, go ahead and hit like and subscribe to Doggy Horizon. We cover what dog behavior actually means, not what we assume it means. Because what researchers discovered about what happens in your dog's brain when they can't follow you will hit differently than you expect. 3. Your dog has created an invisible boundary around you, and they're monitoring it constantly. Scientists at Eötvös Loránd University in Hungary used eye-tracking technology to study where dogs focused their visual attention when they were in the same room as their owners. What they discovered was stunning. Even when the dog appeared to be resting, even when they looked like they weren't paying attention, their eyes flickered back to their owner an average of every 8 to 12 seconds. They weren't staring, they were checking, constantly monitoring your position, your posture, your micro movements. The researchers called it social referencing, and it's the same behavior human infants use with their mothers. When a baby is playing in a room, they'll look back at their mother every few seconds to confirm she's still there, to read her facial expression, to assess whether the environment is still safe. Your dog is doing the exact same thing. They've created a mental perimeter around you, and anytime you cross that boundary, their brain sends an alert, not a conscious thought. An automatic response that says, distance increasing, safety decreasing, action required. This is why your dog follows you even when they're exhausted, even when they were sound asleep a moment ago. The second you move beyond their monitoring range, that invisible leash pulls them to their feet. And here's the part that stops most people in their tracks. When researchers blocked the dog's visual access to their owner, a closed door, a barrier, the dog's stress levels spiked within 60 seconds. Not because they thought they were abandoned, but because they lost the ability to monitor the one thing their entire nervous system is oriented around. You. 4. There's a reason your dog follows you even when they can't see you yet. Dr. Alexandra Horowitz, a dog cognition researcher at Barnard College, studied what she calls scent tracking behavior in domestic dogs. She found that dogs don't just follow visual cues. They're following your scent trail through the house. Every time you walk across a room, you leave behind millions of skin cells. Your unique scent signature settles on furniture, on doorways, on the floor, and your dog's nose is processing that information in real time. They're not just following where you are, they're following where you've been. Here's what that means. When you walk to the kitchen and your dog gets up 30 seconds later to follow you, they're not guessing where you went. They're reading a scent map that tells them exactly which direction you moved, how long ago you passed through, and whether you're still in that location. But it goes deeper than tracking. Remember the Emory University study we mentioned earlier? When researchers monitored brain activity in dogs exposed to different scents, they found that only one scent triggered the reward center of the brain. Not food, not another dog. Your scent. Let that sit for a moment. Your dog's brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical associated with pleasure and reward, when they smell you. Following you isn't a chore for them. It's not an obligation. It's literally rewarding at a neurochemical level. When your dog follows you from room to room, they're not being annoying. They're seeking out the one scent that their brain has learned to associate with safety, comfort, and chemical reward. You've become a walking dopamine trigger for them. And if you've ever wondered why your dog seems more attached to certain people in the household than others, this is why. The strength of that scent reward association varies. The person who feeds them, who comforts them, who spends the most time with them, that person's scent becomes the most powerful reward in their environment. 5. But there's one final piece of this puzzle that brings everything together. And once you hear it, everything else starts to make sense. In 2015, a groundbreaking study published in the journal Science changed everything we thought we knew about the dog-human bond. Researchers in Japan discovered that when dogs and their owners simply gazed into each other's eyes, both the dog and the human experienced a significant rise in oxytocin. Oxytocin, the same bonding hormone that surges between a mother and her newborn child in the first moments after birth. The same chemical that creates one of the most powerful attachment bonds in all of human biology. Your dog looks at you and their brain releases oxytocin. You look back, and yours does too. It's a feedback loop, a biological circuit that reinforces itself every single time it happens. Now think about what happens when your dog follows you. They're not just maintaining physical proximity, they're creating opportunities for eye contact, for interaction, for moments when that oxytocin loop can activate. This is not sentiment, this is documented biology. Your dog isn't following you out of habit or training. They're following you because their brain has formed the same type of attachment bond that human mothers form with their infants. When you leave the room and your dog immediately gets up to follow, they're not being clingy. They're responding to a neurochemical drive that tells them proximity to this person equals safety, comfort, and biochemical reward. And here's what makes this even more profound. This bond is unique to dogs. Wolves don't show it. Not even wolves raised by humans from birth. Other domesticated animals don't show it either. This oxytocin feedback loop is something that evolved specifically between dogs and humans over 15,000 years of shared history. Your dog doesn't follow you because they need something. They follow you because you've become the center of their neurochemical world. Remember what we talked about at the very beginning? You probably thought your dog was just being your shadow, maybe a little clingy, maybe even a little annoying when you couldn't get 30 seconds of privacy. But this is what that behavior really is. It's a proximity protocol shaped by 15,000 years of evolution. It's a monitoring system that tracks your position every 8 to 12 seconds. It's a scent-driven reward response that releases dopamine in their brain. And it's an oxytocin bond identical to the one between a mother and child. Your dog doesn't follow you everywhere because they're bored. They don't follow you because they're needy or poorly trained. You are their safety anchor. You are their dopamine source. You are the one presence that triggers a mother-infant bonding response in their brain. When your dog follows you to the bathroom, when they get up from a dead sleep just to be in the same room as you, they're not being silly. They're showing you the depth of a bond that science is only just beginning to understand. And to them, that proximity to you is everything.